Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. Hollywood panics as Paramount plans massive new layoffs. Paramount already had layoffs. Yeah, but they're not done yet because they need to consolidate their TV operations. Take the MTV operation, take the CBS operation, smush them together, let go of a lot of extra employees. They already shut down one of their major TV operations. This was just back in August, a couple of months ago, from the wrap, Paramount Television Studios to shut down due to significant changes in TV marketplace. TV marketplace changes. Well, that just basically means this. No, we don't need 3 different TV operations or more just to produce and distribute our TV shows. This was a real shock in August because they told the employees, including the CEO, the person running the division, we're shutting this thing down. It was a Tuesday, and they're like, we're shutting it down by Friday. What happens if you're on vacation that week? When you come back, the offices are closed. I'm sure they made some accommodations, but look, this is pretty severe, and it affects the entire industry. It affects everyone in the area. Why? Because Hollywood has been laying people off now, like, for more than the last year. It's one layoff after another. It's not just Paramount working out their financial issues and trying to save some expenses. Disney did layoffs. All of them basically did layoffs. And they did layoffs in multiple divisions. Part of it was the moving away from the failure of woke TV shows. A lot of it was the end of peak TV, which is to say, the streaming services like Netflix and their own streaming services that the studios ran didn't need endless amounts of TV shows to supposedly get new subscribers for streaming services. It wasn't really working anyway. And the woke shows they were producing, of course, no one was really actually watching. Merit is racing back to Hollywood, and part of merit is being productive. It's making money. For example, Disney just had a recent huge hit with Moana 2. That's not unexpected because Disney said they'd go back to producing things people actually wanted to see and that were essentially on brand. They've still got more problems. They've got Snow White they're going to need to deal with because the Snow White movie, no matter what they do, it looks like a mess. Similarly, they have a new Black Captain America movie that's been in the works for a long time. They keep doing reshoots, but they keep getting bad feedback when people do test screenings. And Pixar may have another clunker or two left that were also in production now for years and had been delayed because they're trying to make these things commercial again. But Paramount, as quickly as they can, is going to lay these people off and try to consolidate their operations because why not have just one big TV unit instead of multiple TV units? They also proved that they could do, and I've covered a lot of these, really the most aggressive and merciless layoff of anyone I've seen of any of these studios when you say, hey, it's Tuesday, we're closing down by Friday. If they did that, and they did, they're capable of doing anything. From cord cutter news, Paramount reportedly plans to make major cuts to its MTV, CBS, and more as it invests into Paramount Plus. Paramount Global is bracing for a major overhaul under the leadership of incoming CEO David Ellison. Following the company's merger with Ellison's Skydance Media next year, the Hollywood mogul plans to implement sweeping changes, including significant cuts to Paramount's television networks and a renewed focus on streaming. From a business standpoint, yeah, that does make sense. They don't need all of these extra offices, a lot of them essentially doing the same thing. The only reason to have different production studios, a different TV studio with a different brand and a different aesthetic and a different feel, different budgets, those things, the reasons to do that though, is if you have a management team and relationships with talent and relationships with other vendors who service you that are really specific to that brand and that niche. For example, if you're doing animation in one division and then you're also doing reality TV in another division, does it really make sense to mix all that together? No, not always, but yes, sometimes it doesn't actually matter that much, especially when the alternative is spend a lot of money running multiple offices that essentially do the same thing. Ellison, who is known for his ambitious vision and bold moves, is reportedly exploring a consolidation of Paramount's TV networks, including CBS and MTV, into a single unit. This move would result in cost savings of hundreds of millions of dollars by streamlining operations and reducing redundancies across departments like programming and marketing. Redundancies are extra people you don't need. And they kind of need to figure this out. Because from The Hollywood Reporter, credit agencies warn that Paramount's legacy businesses are a concern, despite the Skydance deal. Moody's said that it's weighing whether to downgrade Paramount to junk status, as S&P Global says that it's closely monitoring the deal. S&P Global is another rating agency, which is to say when they borrow money, which companies usually need to borrow money to operate, and Paramount does have a significant amount of debt, the value of that debt is kept up or down dependent on the outlook of the company. So how well is the company doing? That's what Moody's is for. That's what S&P Global is for. They kind of watch over the companies. They look at the company's reports. They ask for extra industry information. And they let people know who want to invest in that debt how realistic it is that they can pay their bills. If the companies can't pay their bills, or if they're slow in paying off that debt and they don't pay on time, it really hurts the value of that debt. So a company needs to impress shareholders. They need to impress the industry people they work with. They need to impress their debt holders if they have debt holders, because they are different from shareholders. Shareholder is if you own stock. They really have to think about these things. The restructuring is expected to lead to a decline in original programming for Paramount's cable networks, accompanied by staffing reductions. This reflects a broader industry trend as viewers increasingly migrate to streaming platforms, leaving traditional television networks struggling to maintain viewership and advertising revenue. Cable networks like MTV, ESPN get paid by cable distributors, your local cable company, when they carry that cable channel. Cable channels also make money from advertising. The less that people carry these channels, the more cancellations there are of cable companies' cable service, the less money the cable networks get. They lose subscription revenue and they also lose advertising revenue. It is a big problem for these guys. According to a report from Bloomberg, you'll see significant cuts on content on the networks, reducing the number of original programs they produce. Ellison also plans to include a significant investment in Paramount's streaming service, Paramount Plus. While specific details remain unclear, the move signals a commitment to competing in the increasingly crowded streaming landscape, where rivals like Netflix and Disney Plus have established dominant positions. Just think where Disney Plus could have been by now if they had just focused on producing shows that people actually wanted to see, not crazy ideological versions of popular brands. Not a ruined Star Wars, not a ruined Marvel. If they had just focused on producing things people wanted to see, they could have had subscribers on top of subscribers. They could have had more and more momentum for the Disney Plus channel. They could have done a lot, but they didn't do that. But now they're catching up because they're focusing again on producing things people want to see. And they're also being clever. Moana 2 was supposed to be a Disney Plus show. Look at this. They turned it from a Disney Plus show into a feature film. And because the film is on brand, they're actually making a ton of money. The changes at Paramount are going to extend to the company's top management. They currently have multiple co-CEOs. When the merger's done, they're going to have one CEO, like most companies. Ellison faces a significant challenge in revitalizing Paramount Global. The company's traditional TV networks are facing declining viewership, and its streaming service, while growing, lags behind its major competitors. However, Ellison's track record in the entertainment industry and his willingness to invest in new ventures suggest he's prepared to take bold steps to transform Paramount into a major player in the evolving media landscape. He will do this at the expense of his employees. I understand what it is to run a business and to say, okay, well, this isn't productive for us anymore. I hope his employees understand it. Because Paramount is remaking their business with a completely different focus on trying to be profitable. They don't view their traditional way of doing business as viable anymore, so there is going to be tremendous upheaval. And from Bloomberg, Paramount's trio of CEOs to be trimmed after Ellison merger. CBS chief George Cheeks is expected to stay after the deal closes. Plans include consolidation of the company's TV networks. David Ellison plans sweeping changes at Paramount Global, including cuts at the company's TV networks, billions of dollars more for streaming, and an overhaul of top management, according to people familiar with his plans. Ellison, who will take over as Chief Executive Officer of Paramount when it merges with Skydance Media next year, is exploring combining all of Paramount's TV networks, including CBS and MTV, into one unit. Those businesses are mostly run by two of the company's co-CEOs, Chris McCarthy and George Cheeks. While Cheeks is expected to stay, McCarthy's future is less certain. The company's third co-CEO, Brian Robbins, who leads the Paramount Pictures Film Studio and the Nickelodeon Kids channel, is expected to leave around the close of the deal, according to people asked not to be identified. A movie fanatic who has co-financed most of Paramount's biggest films of the last decade, Ellison was initially interested in the company's namesake movie studio. While Ellison and Robbins have worked together on several titles, they're said to have both conceded it's unlikely Robbins will stick around. Ellison has discussed putting Dana Goldberg, the head of production at Skydance, in charge of the film business, at least for the time being. Since agreeing to merge Skydance with Paramount in July, Ellison and his deputies have been meeting with their future employees, seeking opinions about what's working and what isn't. Ellison told employees at Paramount that he hasn't made any decisions about personnel. They've already done some massive layoffs, including closing Paramount TV. So, yeah, they have made some decisions, but if they don't count that as making some decisions, you can imagine a lot more people are getting laid off. Ellison agreed to the deal knowing Paramount would require a major overhaul. The company still makes almost all of its profit from cable networks such as Nickelodeon, MTV, and Comedy Central that defined an era in pop culture. But those networks hemorrhage viewers and advertisers to technology companies such as Netflix and YouTube. The company's namesake film studio isn't expected to show a profit for 2024, according to estimates. Quote, the business needs to be transitioned, Ellison told Bloomberg shortly after the deal was announced. When Donald Trump won the presidential election, Ellison and the team at Skydance began preparing to take over Paramount even sooner than they once thought. They now believe the deal could close as soon as the end of March or early April. The FCC, which approves the transfer of broadcast licenses, still must bless the deal. Petitions from those opposing the transaction are due December 16th, according to the FCC. Two areas requiring Ellison's immediate attention are TV networks and streaming. Ellison is looking at potentially cutting hundreds of millions of dollars in costs by folding the company's TV networks into one group, consolidating teams across departments like programming and marketing. The amount of original programming produced for the cable networks will decline, as will the staffing. Ellison will combine two groups, one that currently reports into McCarthy and another into Cheeks. While McCarthy was a favorite son of former CEO Bob Bakish, Cheeks has a good relationship with Jeff Shell, who will serve as Ellison's number 2 at Paramount. Cheeks and Shell work together at NBC Universal. Ellison plans to cut back on the company's real estate holdings and will look to sell facilities like the CBS Broadcast Center, a production facility used for 60 Minutes and Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. CBS also owns the Ed Sullivan Theater, the home of Stephen Colbert's late night show. But we're not going to sell Paramount. We're not going to sell CBS. But we're looking to maximize value, according to Ellison, who told this to Bloomberg. The transaction has already led to negotiations between Ellison, Paramount, and the NFL. The league is able to opt out of its broadcasting agreement with CBS as part of a provision in its contract. While the NFL doesn't plan to do so, it has talked with Ellison about turning some of its stake into a joint venture with Skydance into an equity stake in Paramount. It has also discussed selling some or all of the NFL network to Paramount. The cuts in TV will help pay for a greater investment in streaming. Paramount Plus has grown to 72 million customers and has made money 2 quarters in a row. Yet it ranks last in viewership among mass market services and is still much smaller than competitors like Netflix and Disney+. Ellison will also more closely integrate Pluto, a free streaming service, into Paramount Plus. A free service like Pluto can serve as an on-ramp for viewers to use Paramount Plus more often, while also benefiting from the marketing around Paramount Plus programs. Pluto was once the leader of a new crop of free advertising-supported services, also called FAST services, but has since lost ground to Fox's Tubi and the Roku channel. Paramount Plus is one of 3 services alongside Peacock and Max that are seen as too small to survive independently. Paramount's current leaders have talked to both Peacock and Max about strategic partnerships to leverage their shared resources, which is ultimately going to mean even more layoffs. The company has also spoken to Amazon and foreign streaming services. Every time one of these Hollywood studios does more layoffs, it throws more people into a work environment that is oversaturated with other people who have already been laid off. Many people have left the industry altogether, going into real estate, trying to get whatever jobs they can get, and some of them have been successful. I've covered that on this channel. It is possible to leave an industry and start again and do great. For the people that work in Hollywood, it's really bad, and it's gonna just get worse. The changes that are coming to Hollywood as a result of AI have not even really hit the industry yet. It all adds up to more layoffs, more job losses, smaller offices, and especially less movies and TV shows being made in Hollywood. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.